Hello everybody, this is David. Welcome back to my channel. Well, it's New Year's Day and I want to wish everyone a happy new year. And on this first day of 2021, I want to be looking at this question, probably the most important question that anyone on the planet has to answer. So the question is a question that Jesus Christ himself asked his disciples. And the question is found in Matthew chapter 16, verse 15, where he says, "Who do you say that I am?" Who do you say that I am? And that's the question we're going to be looking at this morning. Who is Jesus? Who do we think that he is? Probably the most important question that anyone will have to answer in 2021. So, as I see it, there are three answers to this. There's three options. Jesus Christ was either a liar, he was either a lunatic, or he was God himself. He was Lord. So I'm going to make the case that Jesus Christ is Lord, that he is who he said he was. I'm going to look at various few things. Hopefully this will be interesting. I don't want to go through, bore you or flood you with so many facts and figures. So everywhere that I've got my done my research, I will leave as links in the description of the video, so you yourselves can come to the conclusion, your own conclusion, as to who Jesus is. Who do you think he is? Well, there's a few things that we can look at. Firstly, that non-Christian historians agree that Jesus lived. There is some people say, well, you don't really believe in Jesus. How do you know that he actually existed? Well, we have the record of history. Christianity itself is a historical faith based on facts and figures. God has moved in times and places throughout history. So let's have a look at some of these things. In AD 52, we have a writer called Thales who refers to the darkness of Jesus' crucifixion. Now, bear in mind that these at the time that Jesus was about and Christianity first started, there was a lot of opposition. People were not sympathetic to Christians or Jesus Christ. I think I'm saying that quite lightly, actually. There was an awful lot of problems for early Christians. So, in AD 61, Pliny the Younger, who lived in between AD 61 and 113, refers to Christ in a letter to Trajan, who I believe was his boss. He refers to Christ and Christians. Suetonius, who lived between 69 and 140 AD, wrote a letter. He wasn't sure of the spelling of Jesus and he mistook him for somebody else. Tacitus, who lived between 56 and 120 AD, wrote about Christ in the context of the Emperor Nero blaming Christians for the fire of Rome in AD 64. Mara bar Serapion in 70 AD, again he refers to Christ in a letter. Phlegon, who lived between 80 and 140 AD, refers to the eclipse, the darkness at Jesus' crucifixion. Lucian of Samotsa, who lived between 115 and 200 AD, wrote, again, he wrote about Christ and Christians in a very mocking way. We can refer to his letter today, and I'll be providing a link to that in the description. Celsius, in 175 AD, wrote about the virgin birth in a mocking way and also mocked Christians in general. So that was non-Christian writers, secular people, we could say today. We also have the record of Jewish historians who agree that Jesus lived. We have the historical record of Josephus, who lived between 37 and 101 AD, he writes that Jesus existed. He was regarded as a good man by his followers. He also recorded that he was crucified under Pilate, and there were reports of his resurrection. In the Jewish Talmud, which was written between 400 and 700 AD, the Talmud refers to Jesus as a fool and as a corrupter of the nation. And what's known as the Toledo Yeshu from 1000 AD also ridicules Jesus' birth, his miracles and his death. So there we have plenty of evidence that Jesus himself existed. Now, what about Jesus himself? He actually claimed to be God. Let me just check Matthew 5 verse 18. He prefaced all his statements as though he were God, and he says in the Sermon on the Mount, for example, Matthew 5 verse 18, "For assuredly, or truly, I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, not one jot or tittle will by no means pass from the law until all is fulfilled." Now, it's only God that knows the times and the seasons. There's no man can tell when this earth or heaven is going to pass away, is there? So Jesus was speaking as though he himself were God. Now, very importantly, he identified himself with God's own name. I'm just going to read a few verses from John chapter 8 to get this. John chapter 8 verses 49 to 58. There was a discussion going on. Jesus answered, "I do not have a demon, but I honour my Father, and you dishonour me, and I do not seek my own glory. There is one who seeks and judges. Most assuredly, I say to you, if anyone keeps my word, he shall never see death." Then the Jews said to him, "Now we know that you have a demon. Abraham is dead, and the prophets. And you say, if anyone keeps my word, he shall never taste death. Are you greater than our father Abraham, who is dead, and the prophets who are dead? Who do you make yourself out to be?" Good question, you might think. Jesus answered, "If I honour myself, my honour is nothing. It is my Father who honours me, of whom you say that he is your God. Yet you have not known him, but I know him. And if I say I do not know him, I shall be a liar like you. But I do know him and keep his word. Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad." Then the Jews said to him, there's a really serious discussion going on here. Then the Jews said to him, "You are not yet 50 years old, and have you seen Abraham?" Jesus said to them, "Most assuredly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am." Now, that phrase, "I am," is what we know today as a hyperlink. The Jews knew exactly what he was referring to. He was referring to Exodus chapter 3 verses 13 to 14, where Moses was commissioned by God. Then Moses said to God, "Indeed, when I come to the children of Israel and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they say to me, what is his name? What shall I say to them?" And God says to Moses, "I am who I am. Thus you shall say to the children of Israel, I am has sent me to you." So the Jews knew exactly what he was saying. He was claiming to be God. That is the hyperlink. Now, hyperlink is something that we say that has a lot of meaning that we don't actually have to explain ourselves. In language, we have proverbs. Now, if you're listening from Kenya, I'm going to try and give you 2 Kikuyu proverbs. Now, forgive me if I don't pronounce this properly. Ageni eri na karirui kau. Do I need to explain what that means? No, you know exactly what that means. How about this one? Ageni eri matiri utugire. How about two proverbs in Swahili? Haraka, Haraka, haina, baraka. Now, this one is where we get the fact that there's no hurry in Africa from this proverb. Unless you're driving, of course, then there's lots of hurry. How about this one? Kuuliza si ujinga. So these are hyperlinks. Now, if you're English, one of our hyperlinks is jingle bells. So if I said jingle bells, I'm referring to Christmas, and I don't need to explain all about Christmas because the hearer that I say to jingle bells knows exactly what I'm talking about. Now, if you're a football fan, particularly if you're a British football fan, if I say 1966, we know exactly what we're talking about. That was the last time that Britain won the World Cup in football. So I don't need to explain that because I've used a hyperlink to refer to that. So when Jesus says, I am, he's saying that he is God. Now there are several I am statements that Jesus makes. Firstly, I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. I am the door. I am the good shepherd. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the way, the truth and the life. I am the vine. So he identified himself with God's own name, I am. He talked as though he were equal with God. Let's have a look at John chapter 14, verses 6 to 9. Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also, and from now on you know him and have seen him. Philip said to him, Lord, show us the Father, and it is sufficient for us. Jesus said to him, Have I been with you so long, and yet you have not known me, Philip? He who has seen me has seen the Father. So how can you say, show us the Father? He also said in John chapter 10, let me just go there. John chapter 10, verses 25 to 29. Again, there was a discussion going on. Jesus answered them, I told you, and you do not believe. The works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness of me. But you do not believe, because you are not of my sheep, as I said to you. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me, and I give them eternal life. And they shall never perish, neither shall anyone snatch them out of my hand. My Father who has given them to me is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of my hand. I and my Father are one. So Jesus claimed to be God. Now, if Jesus was saying that he is God, you would expect him to have the attributes of God. Some of the, or the nature of God. What are some of the attributes of God? Firstly, there's omniscience, where he knows everything. That's the attribute of knowing everything. There's omnipresence, the attribute of being everywhere at the same time. And there's omnipotence, which is the attribute of having unlimited power. Now, he showed omniscience, or the fact that he knew everything, in John chapter 4, verses 16 to 18, which is the account of meeting the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman, where he demonstrated that he knew everything about her. He demonstrated omnipresence, or the fact that he was everywhere at the same time. In Matthew 28 verse 20, he promised that he will be with us always, even to the end of the age. He demonstrated omnipotence, or the fact that he has unlimited power. In John chapter 11 verses 38 to 44, which is the account of raising Lazarus, he raised Lazarus from the dead. Only God can do that. In Mark chapter 6 verse 48, he walked on the water in the middle of a raging storm. Again, no man can do that. So let's have a look at another aspect, that that Jesus was worshipped as God by those who knew him. And it's very interesting to see that when these people were worshipping as God, he didn't object. He said, no, you can't do that. No, he accepted worship. In Matthew chapter 2 verses 10 to 12, the wise men worshipped him at his birth. In Matthew chapter 8 verse 2, the leper worshipped him when he was healed. In Matthew 9 verses 18 to 19, the synagogue leader worshipped him. In Matthew chapter 14 verses 32 to 33, the disciples worshipped him in the boat. In Matthew 20 verses 20 to 21, the mother of James and John worshipped him. In John chapter 9 verses 35 to 38, the blind men worshipped him at his healing. The blind man, sorry. In Matthew 28 verses 8 to 10, the women worshipped him at the empty tomb. So let's have a look. Jesus, so far we've seen that Jesus existed. We have secular historians referring to him in their writings. We have the Jewish historians referring to him in their writings. We have seen how Jesus claimed to be God himself. We have seen that Jesus demonstrates that he has the nature of God. He has the attributes of God. We have seen that Jesus was worshipped by God as by those who knew him. Lastly, Jesus fulfilled all the messianic prophecies in the Old Testament concerning the coming of the Messiah. In Jeremiah 23 verses 36, it says the Messiah would appear after the Jews returned to Israel. In Micah verse 12, it says the Messiah would be born in Bethlehem. In Isaiah 40 verse 3, the Messiah would be preceded by a messenger. That was John the Baptist. In Zechariah 9 verse 9, the Messiah would enter Jerusalem riding on a donkey. In Isaiah 53 verse 3, the Messiah would suffer and be rejected. In Zechariah 11 verses 12 to 13, the Messiah would be betrayed for 30 pieces of silver. In Isaiah 53 verse 7, the Messiah would be silent before his accusers. In Isaiah 53 verse 5, the Messiah would be wounded, whipped and crucified. So here we have, I've laid out my case that Jesus Christ is God. Need to finish the video with a question. Who do you say that Jesus is? May 2021 be the year that you find out. Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.